Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. Well, we're going to go back to what we discussed in episode 1 of the season, abortion. And it's something that we may come back to again and again, as there are several bills in the Oklahoma Legislature on abortion, and some of them go to such extremes that you kind of wonder if Republicans are just the really strategic morons and can't see what's been going on around the nation, or if they just really don't care and think they'll just have the power to do whatever their will is. Anyway, this week we're going to highlight some of the bills that are going through the legislature in Oklahoma when it comes to abortion and women's health care in our state. Abortion, women's health care, maternity care. These are really the issues before the United States of America right now. What happened was, a couple of years ago, the Supreme Court had this wonderful idea that abortion wasn't a federal issue and gave it back to the states. Well, this has really been kind of chaotic in a lot of ways. A lot of these states, especially red ones, have gone way extreme with their abortion laws. And what this has done is allowed Democrats to run campaigns on all this stuff. And really galvanize women in a way that I don't think the GOP really saw going to happen. And in a great example of strategic moronics, they still keep trying to do the most extreme things they can on it. And not really having the foresight enough to see what they're doing and how it's affecting things. Like, for instance, we have in Oklahoma House Bill 3013. Now, this is put in by a guy named Jim Olsen. Now, if you're not familiar with Jim Olsen, he is a Christian nationalist like you wouldn't believe. He also has a Ten Commandments law going in. Actually, he's got two of them. One that puts the Ten Commandments in every office in the state, and another that puts it in every classroom. Because whether you're a Christian or not doesn't matter to Jim Olsen. Your First Amendment rights, they don't matter. His does. And you're going to be a Christian like he's a Christian, and he's going to use the force of big government to make sure you are. That's what this is. Christian nationalism really is big government. If you think about it, they're wanting to use the power of the state to force you to practice a dogma that you may or may not agree with. That's what it's all about. Well, anyway, House Bill 3013, what it's about is a drug trafficking law. And this is a bill designed to go after two medications that are used in inducing abortions. One is misoprostol. Now, that drug is the main drug when you want to get an abortion. That's the one that they'll give you. Now, this has other uses. Mostly the other use is for inducing or finishing up a miscarriage, making sure that everything's discharged and everything else. So it does have a medical use, but things like miscarriages, Jim Olsen's leery about those too and would like to see those investigated, because miscarriage to him means that was a possible abortion. So I can see why he's against that drug. The other one is kind of iffy to me on why he would be against it. It's called methotrexate. Now, methotrexate is used in conjunction with misoprostol to double up and help with an abortion, make sure that everything is finished up and okay. And a lot of the times it's used in ectopic pregnancies when they want to discharge a pregnancy that way by using that drug coupling up with the other one to help in that process. But the drug also has a lot of other uses. It's used in cancer treatments for lung cancer and kidney cancer. It's also used in arthritis treatments as well. So it has a lot of other uses, and really the only time you would use it for abortion is to help with ectopic pregnancies. Otherwise, you may not use it at all. But Jim Olsen is so extreme that he doesn't put any exceptions for these drugs. You just don't get to use them for those purposes, because you might want to be nefarious and use it for something else. And, just because there's a possibility that you might want to use it for something he disagrees with, well, he got to make sure the whole thing's banned. And not only that, it's not just a banning of it, but label you a drug trafficker and then charge you $100,000 fine and make you a felon and send you to prison for 10 years for having the drug or delivering the drug to anyone. That's how extreme his bill is 3013 that actually passed out of committee. We'll see what happens with it. I don't know. Governor Stitt always says, hey, man, if it's an abortion bill, I'm going to sign it. So he may actually sign off on this. But, hey, you know what? Democrats and liberals need to run on this stuff that they're passing because it's very extreme. And this is one of the reasons why we have OGBYN deserts. You're talking about the delivery of this drug. We're talking about physicians. We're talking about pharmacists and anybody else. So this actually goes after the OGBYN profession in a way that we're seeing what happens with it. It creates deserts, like you say. It creates medical deserts. There's certain areas in rural Oklahoma where you'll have to drive 60, 80, 100 miles to see an OGBYN if you're pregnant. Other states, it's worse. Idaho, for instance, they have really locked down their abortion laws. And if you just need to go get maternity care, you may have to drive a couple 100 miles and go to another state in order to get it. Because OGBYNs, they're not political creatures, really. They're doing a job. It's not politically based. Then they don't want to have somebody breathing down their neck on all these rules and regulations, possibly take their license away. That's a lot of stress. They can go make that money somewhere else where it's less stressful. That's what they're going to do, and that is what they're doing. So they're leaving the state like that. They're leaving Oklahoma. We have OGBYN deserts here in Oklahoma because our laws are so extreme. People don't want to practice that type of medicine here. So you can't get the maternity care you need, even if you want to keep the pregnancy. And that's what we're talking about, keeping the pregnancy. If you don't want an abortion, you actually want to have a baby in the state of Oklahoma, well, Republicans, they're making it so dangerous to do that because, hey, the people that would give you the maternity care you need, the OGBYNs, well, they're putting in laws that are making them just really hard to want to work here. That's what you get with House Bill 3013 from Jim Olsen. Now, another bill, House Bill 3216 from Kevin West. Now, if you've ever seen a picture of Kevin West, he's a little overweight and bald and not a very attractive guy. So you can see why he really doesn't like women. And he has a lot of crazy bills in there too, some on education and everything else. But here we have one on abortion. And what this does is, hey, here we go again, medical abortion, making Plan B illegal. And that's what it does, making Plan B illegal. That's what he wants to do. And not only that, but he wants to have a registry for women. Yes, putting a registry together for women. So if you're a woman who's had an abortion, if you're a woman who's had a miscarriage, if you have a IUD, or the implant for contraception, if you've had a miscarriage, I think I mentioned that, Plan B, abortions, miscarriage, IUDs, well, he wants you in a database. He wants your name, your number, and everything else in a database so the state can keep track of you. This is women. Because men are going to do this, right? So that men are going to have the number, but he's going to want to keep track of women that are on contraceptions, keep track of women that have had abortions, have had a miscarriage, and basically have taken Plan B. So he wants a whole database on these women, who they are, where they live, how to get a hold of them. For why, I don't know. But I find it curious that he wants to do this. Not only that, if a doctor doesn't put these people in the registry when they do these things, he wants to revoke their license. Here we go again. If you're an OGBYN, why would you want to work here under these kind of conditions with the law he wants to put in? Not only that, you can tell that he's worried, and you can tell how extreme this bill is that he's doing, 3216, because in it he puts in a rider in there saying that, hey, you know what, we're going to make the Speaker of the House of Oklahoma so powerful that if there is a challenge because somebody challenges it in the court and say, hey, it goes against the state constitution, well, in this bill, he says, hey, new law, we're going to make the Speaker be able to decide, not the courts and not the Constitution of Oklahoma. We're going to make sure the Speaker of the House has the power to enforce this law, which is weird because that's the legislative branch. The enforcers of laws is the administrative branch. That would be the governor. And then the courts would make sure that it is constitutional. And that's what he does. So in this, he kind of preemptively states, you know what, I think this may be unconstitutional, but if it is, I'm going to make a law that says the Speaker of the House has, carte blanche over it and can do whatever he wants, regardless of what the courts say and regardless of the Oklahoma Constitution, because I guess people like Kevin West, like Jim Olsen, really just don't care. This is a dictator state. This is authoritarianism. This is what they want. This is so outlandish. I can't believe he would actually put that there in this bill that, hey, if it is against the Constitution, let the Speaker decide. Really, that's just wild to me. It's fanatically extreme. But, that's what you get with Kevin West. And it's not the only extreme bill he's got out there, folks. And it doesn't have to do with abortion or anything else, but that's just how Kevin West is. So yeah, which is wild. Wow, hey man, you want to put a registry together, a registry from the state, by the state, on women who have IUDs, taking contraception, have had miscarriages, Plan B, and have had abortions. And for what purpose, I'm not sure. It doesn't really say. It just says there will be a registry for this, and you will do it or we'll take your license. That's just incredibly extreme. And it's kind of worrying. Like you can see, hey, if you're an OGBYN, why would you want to work in the state of Oklahoma under those kind of conditions when you can go to, say, New Mexico or even Kansas and not have that kind of stress and possibly even make more money? Why would you want to land in Oklahoma and do maternity care for women that are pregnant in Oklahoma, which is sad. It's just sad, because if you're a pregnant woman in Oklahoma, well, you're in danger here. You don't have the resources and the care you're going to need to have that child. I can definitely see mortality rates of women during birth and of even kids happening because of our lack of OGBYNs that want to come here because of extreme people like Kevin West and the wackadoodle bills he's getting sent through the legislature of Oklahoma and possibly could land on the desk of the governor. This is just a wild time here in Oklahoma when it comes to abortion laws and abortion care. And there's so many others too. I'm going to do this show again. I'm going to do another one on abortion. It's such an important issue, especially for Democrats right now. And I think the more we hammer away on them, the more we hammer the GOP on their extremism when it comes to abortions, when it comes to maternity care and women's health care, I think we're going to watch them lose a lot. We're going to see them change some of their ways. We've already seen some of this in the nation, even when it comes to places like Nebraska and stuff like that. The guys who have put in really crazy laws are now coming back trying to amend them, going, oh, hey, we need exceptions for rape, and we need exceptions for incest. We need exceptions for different types of conditions that women may have where an abortion is necessary. Like we said, hey, these ectopic pregnancies where the kid may still have a heartbeat, but it's really killing the mother and really harming her chances of even getting pregnant again, and making sure that she stays fertile in case she wants to be. Like the woman in Texas. She had this pregnancy, wasn't viable. They really wanted to have the kid. They really would expect to want to have more kids. But here you go, with Mr. Paxton down there, Dunning-Kruger effect again, thinking he's a doctor, forcing this woman to keep a pregnancy that could actually harm her, was very painful, and could ruin her chances of having kids in the future. And Texas decided she couldn't have it. She had to go somewhere else. And this is what we're seeing across the nation, unfortunately. And I just can't see how Republicans, the GOP, and conservatives can't see the writing on the wall on this. I mean, they are losing race after race when this is an issue put before people. Because, hey, you know what? When it comes to voting blocks, there's no bigger voting block than women. There really isn't. And so you kind of wonder, what's their strategic modeling on this? What are they thinking? Are they just so blinded by their Christian nationalism and authoritarianism that they think they can just force their will? I mean, It kind of seems that way, especially when I see Kevin West put this new section of law in saying that the Speaker of the House is going to override the courts and the state constitution on this bill if it becomes law. It's just, when I see stuff like that, it's like, wow, that's just outlandish. It's just goes against every tenet of how we're supposed to operate as a nation and as a state and anything else you would perceive as being a republic or democracy in any kind of way. This is where we're at in a lot of ways on the abortion issue, making pills on abortion drug trafficking and fining you up to $100,000, making you a felon and sending you to prison for 10 years just for having it, where you got to have a registry for women who have implants and have taken Plan B and have had miscarriages and abortions. That's just so freaking extreme. And these may become laws in Oklahoma. And what this is going to do to the OGBYN profession here is left to be seen. But we're actually seeing some of it right now, as there are certain, like I said, rural areas in Oklahoma where you just can't get the maternity care that you need because OGBYNs are too scared to do practice here because, yeah, I can go somewhere else and not have that kind of stress. Anyway, this is Kit Fairchild on Across the Desk. And like always, we'll see you next week.